Thank you for joining us for this live overview demo of Osprey. I'm Danielle, Marketing Executive here at Osprey, and I'm joined by Dave, our Product Specialist, who will be taking you through the demo today. This session is designed to show you a top-level overview of the features, functionality, and integrations across the software. Today, we're joined by Osprey clients at different stages of their journey, and our aim is to showcase what's possible with Osprey and highlight features and integrations that can help improve efficiencies, increase visibility of data, streamline operations, and mitigate risk. Over the next hour, we'll take a look at inquiry management and onboarding, client and matter management, workflows, document and email management, time recording and billing, and then finally, reporting and dashboards. As we move through the demo, we'll also show you the latest functionality updates. And if you have any questions throughout the session, please pop them in the Q&A box or in the chat, and then I'll fill these through today at the end of the session. Before we jump in, just a quick reminder that all Osprey clients have access to free unlimited training. So if there's anything you've seen today that you'd like to learn more about or implement in your firm, simply contact support or your CSM to arrange training for you and your team. So with the intro complete, I'll now hand over to Dave, who will take us through the demo.
Lovely, thank you. Good morning to you all. Let me just share my screen. And we'll jump straight into the demonstration. And if I could just check with somebody if you can see my screen okay.
Yes, all good.
Fantastic, thank you for that. Okay, so let's jump into the overview of Osprey, where we're going to showcase some of the features and functions of the system. First off, we've got our home page. So as soon as you log into Osprey, this is what you're presented with. First off, we've got our coming up section. So this actually contains all your matters for review, all of your key dates, so your tasks, reminders, and your deadlines. These are front and center and acts as your kind of to-do list. These are all presented in chronological order and color-coded as and when you need to review them. You can simply click on them. It brings over a slide over panel on the right-hand side that gives you the ability to edit them, move them out if needed, or reassign them. So a really key component of the system. The key dates can also integrate with the workflows, which we're going to come on to a little later. And that means that you can automate the creation of them. So, for example, as part of a workflow, you may enter a court hearing date or a completion or an exchange date, and then Osprey can present those reminders on your home screen as and when they come up. Over towards the right-hand side, we want to make it as quick and easy for you to jump back into your matters. And you can see you've got the last 20 matters available here. You can simply click on these and it will jump straight back into the matter. Up towards the top left, you've got the global search bar. So this allows you to search across your client, your matter data, as well as any documents. A really useful feature is the See All Matters table. And if I click on it, by default, it will show you all matters across the platform. However, you can tailor what is displayed using the column heading and filter bar. So in this example, I've got all of the matters filtered by myself as the fee earner, and you can take that step forward and then just display, for example, only open matters. So a really useful facility to get an overview of all of your matters. You can see all of the summary information when they were opened, where you're at within the workflow status. You can see all of the balances, the ledger balances, the WIP, the office, and the client balances, as well as any next steps. Back at our home screen, we've got our first introduction to time recording up towards the top right. If I click on the time recorder, then first off, it presents you with any timers that you've got running. So you've got the ability to record single or multiple timers across your client and matters. You can also post time directly from this slide over panel. Now, by default, it picks up the client and matter that you're in. Again, you've got access to your last 20 accessed, but you can also search for any other client and matter within the system. This means that you could theoretically record all of your time across all of your client and matters without ever having to navigate away from the page that you're in. You can simply go and select your activity, pop in the number of units, and then Osprey will calculate the associated value. A great feature is that you've got the ability to add multiple activities. So, for example, if you were waiting, traveling, attending court, waiting, traveling, all of those 4 or 5 different activities you can incorporate into a single time entry. At the bottom, you've also got the ability to enter an attendance note, obviously offering more detail and context in terms of what activities you conducted. For fee earners that have targets, you can also see all of your time ledger postings. These are presented in chronological order, and at the top of each day, we total the units, time, and value. It's also a great place to go just to check in and see, did I record that 20-minute phone call from earlier? At the very top right, you've got the new action button. So this gives you quick and easy access to features that you're likely to use on a regular basis. So things like electronic chitties or requisitions. Key dates are tasks, reminders, and deadlines. Our 3 communication methods, SMS, email, and document production. At the top, we've got 3 wizards that will step you through creating a new client, creating a new matter, and then likely your first interaction with a new client and Osprey would be the conflict of interest search. So it will step you through performing that conflict search and then creating a client and a matter. Let's go and jump into a matter itself. So I'm going to just click on this conveyancing for Lucy Simpson. And that steps us straight into what we call our matter workspace. Now, imagine this, if you will, as your control center or your command hub. From here, you've got one-click access to all of your information pages, and that's conducted through the navigation bar at the top. So, for example, your matter history, all of your letters, documents, emails, and communications, the financial tab, your client and office ledgers, the time ledger, your key dates, and your workflows. And we'll come on to those a little later. At the top, we can associate undertakings with client and matters, and this allows you to see whether there are any outstanding undertakings against that particular matter that you're working on. We can also prevent users from archiving those if there are any outstanding undertakings. Below that, we've got our workflow status bar. So as you progress through a conveyancing case or perhaps a family divorce case, the workflow status bar can update and display where you are within that process. Below that, you'll also get a graphical representation of where you are within the workflow. As and when you complete the actions, these will change color and the percentage progression will also update. This means that it's very easy to distinguish which tasks and actions have been completed and what's outstanding. If you're time recording, you've got account controls that display debtor, disbursement, and WIP limits and where you are against those. At the bottom, you've got your coming up section. So again, your key dates, tasks, and reminders that are specific to this matter. And over on the right-hand side, quick and easy access to all of the matter information. You can then click across the tabs. You can see any matter extension information, any client details. Again, you can just one click on things like the address and it will copy that to your clipboard. You can also see all of your related matters against that specific client as well. So this is ideal just for jumping between perhaps a purchase and sale if you're acting on both of those for a client. Once you have a client and matter created within the system, the next logical place to go is the Osprey workflows. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar with them, workflows offer perhaps the greatest efficiencies within a practice's processes. They bring together all of the logical tasks and actions. So, for example, they'll prompt you to enter data at a specific point in time. They can then use that data and mail merge it into letters, documents, and forms. They can automate the creation of those key dates, those tasks and reminders. Now, with Osprey, we have created over 50 workflow templates that are available to you at no additional cost. I'll show you that list a little later, but let me just jump in and show you how these work. For example, because Osprey allows you to manage prospects and inquiries, maybe your prospect has requested a quotation or an estimate for your legal services. In this example, I've created a 5-step workflow to handle that. I can click on the play button and then Osprey is going to step me through everything that I need to do. Task 1 is it brings up a questionnaire, and this allows me to tailor the information and capture things like source of introduction. Maybe you're interested in reporting on that. If it's fixed fee, estimates of legal costs and disbursements. If it's time and materials, what's your hourly charge out rate? And do you require any money on account? You can also use it to capture things like referral details, referral fees, just so that you're remaining fully SRA compliant and transparent. Once completing that, I can simply click on the next button. And then rather than hunting down letters and estimate forms, Osprey will locate those automatically for me. And then what it's going to do is step 2 down the left-hand side is it's going to mail merge all of that information that we created and entered on the previous questionnaire page. It's then going to generate both a cover letter and also an estimate that we can send off to Lucy Simpson. You can see all of the information, the client and matter information, as well as the pricing that we entered in the previous questionnaire has all been mail merged. I'm going to click on the X button to close that. I'm then given the opportunity to save that. I can rename it. I can place it within a specific folder within my matter history. And we can also prompt users to time record as and when they're conducting the activity. I can save it, and a copy of that estimate has now been saved within our matter history. Now, maybe the next logical action is to send a copy of that estimate via email. So when I click on next, Osprey brings up an email template. And once again, it's mail merged all of our client and matter information into the email subject, as well as the email body. So these act in a very similar fashion to a mail merge document. I can then simply select who I'm sending it to, Lucy Simpson. I can then attach a copy of the estimate that we created within the previous step. And finally, I'm going to automatically convert this from Word to PDF prior to it being sent. Click on send, the email is sent, and a copy is retained within your matter history. I can then click on the next button. Now, if you look on the left-hand side, it's going to look as though it skips over task 4, but in the background, it's actually created an automated reminder. So in 5 days' time, I'll get a reminder to follow up with Lucy to see if she wants to progress with that quotation. Final task is that Osprey will update the workflow status bar, and that's now changed to estimate sent. Now, assuming Lucy comes back to us and agrees to go ahead, then the next stage of the workflow could be to prompt users to conduct any necessary ID and AML checks. This is a good point to remind you that we have an extensive integration with InfoTrack. All of the information entered as part of the workflows is automatically passed into InfoTrack, so there's no deduplication of data entry. Any search results will flow back into the Osprey matter history automatically. And we also go a step further in that any costs can automatically be added to the ledger as unpaid disbursements. And that just means that you'll never forget to add them. You'll never enter incorrect amounts. Talking of ID and AML checks, you can also, a really important point is that you can also include your client and matter risk assessment as part of your workflows. And this ensures that you're remaining compliant. Now, many practices currently enter the data into blank Word documents. We approach this slightly differently. And in this example, you can see that we prompt users to enter the information into dedicated Osprey data fields. Now, the benefit of this is that each and every one of these fields is reportable on. So this flows into our Osprey analytics, which we're going to show you towards the end, and allows you to have client and matter risk assessment dashboards. As you go through, you're entering all of the information. It's quicker just to select from drop-down boxes. And then once you've entered all of that information, a really important task towards the end is that it's going to then mail merge all of that information and create your client and matter risk assessment form. And there you go. There is our form with all of the information that you've entered mail merged. I'm going to click on close, the X to close Word, and a copy of that is then saved within our matter history. Now, I'm not going to go any further in the workflow, but then depending upon what legal area you're representing your client, it would then go into the creation of your client care guide, your terms of business, and then any data capture requirements that are applicable to that area of law. As I mentioned, we've created over 50 of those, so I'll just bring up shortly a list of all of those. So all of your clinical negligence, conveyancing, residential, commercial property. We're the only system that incorporates SRA style compliance workflows. So there's your AML risk assessment, complaint handling, file reviews. I'm sure you all use that. Crime, debt recovery, employment, a whole bunch in there for family. All available to you at no additional cost. These are all completely tailorable. So the idea being is that, yes, we can load these templates onto your system, but you have full flexibility to tailor and modify these so that we're not dictating our processes on you. They're designed to match what your internal processes are. The workflows contain all of the data capture. They can incorporate all of your tailored letters, documents, forms, email templates, and then your automated tasks and reminders. Jumping back into Osprey, just a reminder that you now have access to client and matter level notes as well. So up towards the top right, you can see here, I've got a little notepad with a notification within it. You can create notes against the client and also the matter level. So just wanted to mention those as well. In terms of all of your client communications, your letters, documents, and emails, they all go into the area called the matter history. So this is that central repository, your paperless file. And towards the top left, you've got things like smart actions and folders. So an example of those are favorite items. Maybe you're working on a contract or a property title report. You can favorite them by just clicking against the star against the relevant items. When you come back to your matter history, perhaps the next day, click on your favorites. There's those important documents and communications that you can get back up and running very quickly. We do also have case bundles, case and court bundles. Danielle will speak a little later about a new integration that we've got coming that relates to case and court bundles. You also have packaging. Now, this is really useful for sending single or multiple files that are too large to send via regular email. Osprey allows you to select single or multiple files and documents, and it zips them all together, creates a single zip file and a secure URL that you can send to a client or third party. They click on that link and then they can download the information that you've shared with them. So the benefit there is no need to use third-party applications such as Dropbox, OneDrive, having to export and download all of your data into those. You can facilitate that all through our packages functionality. Towards the bottom left, you've got all of your folder structures. So the ability to create global folder structures that are applicable across all of your client and matters, but you can also tailor folders against individual work types. So that gives you the flexibility to have different folder structures for conveyancing and family as examples. All of your communications are available in chronological order in the center. And if you click on, for example, an email over on the right-hand side, you will see a preview of that. You can also click on documents, you can preview them and see all of the content. In addition to that, whenever you make a change to a document, you can click on the revision history tab. And that allows you to see all of the different versions that you've created. So in this example, I've got 2 versions. This means that you've got a full audit trail, and if you ever need to revert back to an original version, you've got that flexibility to do so. Moving on to contacts and organizations. Osprey allows you to record third-party contacts and organizations, and those are recorded within our contact managers. Now, examples of organizations could be other side solicitors, medical experts, banks, building societies, and estate agents. You can enter their information into Osprey once, and then if you're using the workflows, it's going to prompt you to add those to your matters. Then when you're creating letters, documents, and forms, it can mail merge their details. We've also included the ability to add marketing information against the contacts and organizations as well, so that you can use them to create marketing and campaign lists. Jumping back to our workspace, the next part I want to take a quick look at is the financial ledger. So all of your client, office, and disbursements are presented on screen, so the fee earners can see all of that information. And one of the really useful facilities that the fee earners have access to from the action button at the top right is electronic requisitions. So as a fee earner, perhaps I need the accounts team to make a third-party payment, or I want them to raise an invoice. I can simply select a posting type. In this example, I'll select a fee earner bill, and then I can complete some basic information. I'm going to give the invoice a description, invoice for August. I can then click on the calculate fee earner costs. Osprey will bring up all of my unbilled WIP. I can cherry pick it. I can put in date ranges. I can select specific fee earners, or I can simply select tick all, and then that will calculate the value of my unbilled WIP. I can save it, and it will then populate that into the fee earner costs. I can do exactly the same with disbursements, and I can select whether these are vatable or non-vatable. I can calculate the VAT, and then finally I can pop in any notes for the authorizer. Click on save, and then a copy of that requisition is then sent to a holding area where the accounts team can pick it up. They can double check everything is okay, and then they can choose to post it onto the ledger, or they can reject it if there is a problem with it. Regardless of what they do, an email notification is sent through to whoever requested it. Depending upon what your internal processes are, you can have a 1 or 2-step approval process. Moving on to our time ledger, you can see all of the time that you've recorded. You can undo transactions or ledger postings, and you can also add single or multiple time ledger postings directly from here. We've recently added new functionality for recording expenses and overtime. Those are accessible from the bottom left, and if you hover over your initial, then you'll see 2 options for expense and overtime claims. If I click on expenses, I can see any expenses that I've entered. And then over on the right-hand side, I've got the ability to add a new expense claim. It's simply a case of entering the information. We can associate that claim with a specific client and matter. We can then allocate a category to that. If it's mileage, we can enter in any postcodes of where we're traveling to. We also have the ability to reclaim and recover those expenses. If I make it recoverable, then it will actually add an unpaid disbursement against your applicable ledger. You can upload a copy of the receipt as well. A very similar process applies to overtime as well. So I can simply go in and add a new overtime claim and associate that with a client and a matter. Pop in my claim type, whether it's internal or work we're doing for a client. All of those, once submitted, will then go into an area that the account/management team have access to, and they can go in, they can check all of those claims, and they can amend the status. So you've got multiple statuses, things like approved, rejected. If there's a problem with it, then they can add a note, and that can be sent back to the person that's requesting it so that they can make any associated changes to it. So all of the new expenses and overtime claim functionality is in there. Let's move on to what's next in our list. One of the new integrations, or one of the recent integrations, is the bank feed. So we have an integration with Plaid that allows you to connect your bank feed or your bank statement to Osprey. that will pull in your latest bank statement, and then that will assist in helping you perform your daily reconciliations. As you would expect, Osprey has a full reporting suite baked into the system. So under the report section, you've got access to all of our core reports within the system. So from an accounting perspective, all of your trial balance, your profit and loss, your period end. You also have all of your client financial reporting, so things like your ledger balances, age debtors, that kind of thing. All of your analysis, so how many live matters you've got going on across the practice, how many are opening, how many are closing. For the fee earners, all of your time, how people are spending their time, both summary and detailed insights into what client and matters they're spending their time against. So there's a full suite of core reports baked into the system. Where Osprey is particularly strong in is what we call our Osprey Analytics. Now, Osprey Analytics allows you to take your reporting to the next stage. And we have an integration with Microsoft Power BI. And this provides you with rich, dynamic, and interactive reporting. Now, one of the key benefits of this is that there is no need to run these reports. They update each hour, and you can access these dashboards through a simple URL. Now, in this example, you can see that the second line of charts is pulling all of our WIP this month, this year, our revenue metrics, all coming directly from Osprey. However, the top line of target information is coming from an Excel spreadsheet. This showcases that you can pull information from pretty much any data source. So you can link Osprey in with things like your HR system. This then allows you to compare your revenue and your WIP against any targets. And you can see here that we're color coding all of this information. So it's very quick and easy to determine whether or not you're hitting your targets. We've made all of this information role-based. So it could be that your partners wish to see things like the KPIs and or the branch, department and fee earner summaries. So they can see all of that live matter, all of your WIP, your revenue, summaries by department, and right down to fee earner level. Again, all color-coded to make it quick and easy to distinguish whether you're meeting your targets or not. Department reviews are ideal for any of you that are heads of departments. Now, what we can do is we can restrict access to information. So in this example, if I'm the head of residential property, then all I can see is that department's information. Again, all of my revenue information, month on month, how we're doing against previous years, and then again, all color coded. I can see all of the fee earners, and then I can see a summary by work type as well. Fee earners can also have access to their own information. So again, when I log in as Ella, I just have access to my information. I can interact with these, so I can click on June, for example, and then all of that information automatically changes to show the metrics as of June. Finance can have access to information such as cash flow reporting, salary, insurance spend, age debt. Also, as many of you may know, things like indemnity insurance can be a real pain in pulling all of that information together each year or every 18 months. And so we can facilitate a lot of that information that is required within those reports. So all of your revenue, your WIP, your aged debt, we can break out things like your purchase and sales files. We can also show averages of your top 10. And then we can also split out all of your practice's revenue by work type and percentage of your overall revenue. In terms of your compliance, you remember at the beginning when we had our workflows, we incorporated client and matter risk assessment. So all of that information can flow into these charts, and then you can get overviews of all of your risk assessments. From a marketing perspective, again, when we were creating client and matters and as part of our workflows, we can capture information such as our source of introduction, and we can see all of that through our dashboards. Finally, again, from a marketing perspective, you have access to see where all of your revenue is coming from. So heat maps, you can zoom into these, you can hover over them, and you can see client and matter metrics and revenue for each of the different areas. You can also see all of your your latest matter counts for clients, and then all of their metrics in terms of, how by department and by client, what's the average client and matters are open for, average hourly rates, and average matter values and matters per client. So all of that information is available through the Osprey analytics. That's available as an additional service via our integrations, and you can simply reach out to your client success manager if you're interested in reviewing those. That's just one of our integrations. You can see here we've got a bunch of others. And at this point, I'm just going to hand back to Danielle just to talk about a couple of upcoming integrations and any questions that you may have.
Thanks, Dave, for showing us around the platform. And if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat. Whilst we do wait for any last minute questions, just a final note from me before we wrap up is to mention the market leading software we integrate with. So Dave mentioned a few throughout the demo, including InfoTrack, but we also have an array of partners that help you save time, reduce data entry, and connect your firm-wide systems. I'll shout out two upcoming integration partners today. So the first is Bundle Docs. This is a new integration that makes it easy to quickly create, organize, and share professional legal document bundles. The second integration I'll also shout out is Form Evo. They're a forms provider, and we've had several requests and feedback from clients who utilize Osprey, and so in due course there'll be the newest Osprey integration, but we'll keep you posted on both of those. So just check if we've got any questions. No further questions have been shared, so we'll just end there. Thank you, Dave, for showing us Osprey, and thank you all for joining us today. Bye for now.